All right, welcome everyone to Google Slides Basics. I'm your instructor today, Thad Jesperson. Thank you so much for being here today, and let's talk about the things that we're going to cover. First thing we'll go over is what Google Slides are, how it works, how all things Google work. We'll um, we shared with you already the online handbook that's available to you on our websites. We'll go thoroughly through the user interface and talk about how it's very similar to all of the other Google apps. And once you learn one and become familiar with the user interface for any of the Google apps, then it makes it so much easier to learn a new Google app. We'll talk about how to insert images and videos, how to insert text and sounds, how to add new style or new slide layouts, how to use slide transitions. We'll be giving some examples of that and show you how to do it. Um, how to get into the Google Slides themes that make it a lot easier to kind of dress up your slide presentation very quickly, how to add backgrounds, how to use the Explore feature, something that was new just a couple years ago, makes it so much easier. And we'll show some examples of that. And also the share feature, how we can share with others. We can send our slide for them to watch and view, or we can have others that can work. We can work together as collaborators, and we can all be editors and be working on the same Google Slides. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, whenever we have a question of something we're not sure how to do, we can always do a Google search. And by the way, when you do a Google search on how to do anything in Google Slides, you'll end up coming back to the information that's available in the online handbook that is sent to you in the email before each class. So that's what we're going to cover today. So let's go ahead and move forward on that. All right. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Google Drive. So here is my Google Drive. Let's get this a little bit bigger so maybe it's a little easier to see. About one, somewhere in there. All right. So here's our Google Drive. And so if you've been with the district for a little while, you've got a sandy.net email account. And you'll see over here, there's a picture of me right there. And if I hover over it, it has my sandy.net email address. Because this is, we are all as employees, any of us with a sandy.net email address, we are part of the sandy.net Google domain. Or stated differently, we are part of the Google, our district Google account, if you will. And so each one of us has access to all kinds of things that are available to us via the district through our sandy.net Google domain. And the first thing I want to point out is, since we're here in our drive, is down at the bottom, it talks about the storage that I've used. You notice it's 22.9 gigabytes. And just real quick, again, this is my sandy.net account because there's a picture of just me. If I go over here to this one, this happens to be my personal account. You can see that it's a picture of my wife and I. And so the first thing I want to show you is that it looks, fairly much similar. I got a lot of different folders and things that are there. But look down at the bottom. It says 2.4 gigabytes of 15 gigabytes used by storage. So Google is trying to sell you more storage. They'd be happy to do that. You can buy a terabyte or more information or more storage, but it costs money every month to do that. And so if we go back to our sandy.net one, you'll see that there is no limit to the storage. So that's the first thing. And by the way, as far as that storage goes, anything that's Google, whether it's slides, sheets, docs, forms, anything Google doesn't even count towards your storage. So what are we talking about? If you have an MP4, like a video that you've made, and I do a lot of those for our class here, those can be 1 or 2 gigabytes each. And so I can store as many of those as I'd like in our sandy.net Google domain drive. And of course, any kind of a PDF that's from Adobe, that's not Google. Any Microsoft Excel files or Microsoft Office files of any kind, whether it's Word, PowerPoint, any of those do count towards your storage. But in all things sandy.net Google domain, it doesn't matter because we can store as much as we'd like. So thank you, San Diego Unified, for that. Kudos to you for giving us plenty of storage. So here we are in our drive. And just as a reminder, we have a couple different drive classes that we offer, a beginners and a basics one. So you can go to our calendar and sign up for those if you want to learn more about Drive. But here we are just in Drive, and you can see that I have a whole bunch of folders here. And so the first thing I'm going to do today is create a new folder where we're going to be accessing and using a number of different slides today. And so I recommend that you do that as well, just to kind of keep in one place um, all of your files, or in this case, slides, if you happen to be making some today. It'll be much easier to find it. Because if you're a little bit familiar with Drive, you'll remember that, we have our quick access here at the top. There were some of the things I was working on this morning. Just happened to be there. Yours, of course, will be different. And then here's all my folders. And then after that, here's a whole bunch of files going down. And we have so many files at some point that it's hard to keep things organized. So it's wonderful to have folders that we can put stuff. So I can either go up here to new, since I'm right at the very beginning of Drive. I can either go to new and then create a folder here, or you'll learn in our Drive class, you can just right click and get the same menu and click new folder. And so for today, I'm just going to call this, let's see, how about today's slides folder. I think that sounds good. And this will be just a temporary one for me, but if you want to name yours something different and keep it so you can keep track of all your practice slides. Maybe you're new to this. Maybe you've used slides many times and you already have a folder, but it's nice to have a folder where we can do this. So as soon as I create this, it's going to show up down here in my folders. And sure enough, it has. And again, if you come to our one of our Drive classes, or watch the Drive videos, the basics or the beginners that we have available to you online, you can learn about how to organize this. I choose to keep mine in grid format so that I can kind of see the tiles and kind of get an idea of what it is. I know that's a picture that I use to get my little sandy.net picture up there. And so I can see all that. Or some of you might prefer to have it in list view, but I like it in grid view. I also like to keep it in by name and in alphanumeric order. And so that's what we see here. And what is alphanumeric order? Well, we're familiar with ABCs, right? A comes before Z. But also it's alphanumeric. So the numbers come first. And as the numbers get bigger, then we see them going this way. And then we have our ABCs, then D, E, and F, Gs, all the way down to our, and I have my 3Z folders down here. And so since the new one was today's slides folder, it's going to show up right there in the T section. So I'm just going to double click on that. I'm going to open it. All right. So here we are. We're in my Drive, but we're inside today's slides folder. So anything that I do at this point is going to end up in this folder, which is very helpful. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to just take a look at a brand new slide, and let's just kind of jump right into it. So I'm going to go over here to new, and looking down, I could upload a file. Maybe I've got a PowerPoint presentation or something. Maybe I've got a folder with several PowerPoint presentations in it. I could do that. I could upload those. And by the way, let me just pull back the curtain here a little bit. Again, this is our browser. And as I mentioned before, always try to use Google Chrome anytime you're using an app like Drive or any of the Google apps, because all of the features work. So it says right here, I could upload, a folder with lots of files in it and perhaps other folders or just files. But it also says you can drop stuff here. What does that mean? Well, here's my desktop of the laptop I'm working on. Happens to be my wife's laptop because it has a nice big screen. Oh, look, here's an Excel file. So if I left click and drag this down, I can bring it in. And you'll notice as I'm swirling around here in circles, right next to where my mouse cursor is, and I haven't let go of it yet, it says plus copy. What does that mean? If I drop this in here, it's going to be part of the today's slides folder, which I don't want it to be, but just as an example, I could do that. But what does the plus copy mean? It means that if I drop it in here, it's basically making a copy, and the original one that's up here doesn't get erased or doesn't disappear off of my laptop. It stays there. So I really don't want this Excel file here, so I'm just going to go back up and let it go. But you'll see here, here's a folder, and it's got a whole bunch of different PDFs and things in it. If I look down here, here's my backup files, and I've got folders inside of folders, all kinds of information. I can left click and drag that down too. And as you can see, it says plus copy. So that means it would not be erased off of the desktop, if you will. But I'm not interested in any of those at this point. We're just going to be using slides right now. I'm just going to expand this back up like that. And again, so I can upload new things from there, or I could start any one of these many Google apps that are here, and it would all end up in today's slide folder. But I can also right click, hit the same menu. And so basically what I want to do is just open up a brand new one. So I'm going to go over here to Google Slides, and I'm going to say blank presentation. All right, so here we are. Welcome to the Google Slides user interface. And so the first thing we notice if we're familiar with any of the Google apps is that we have these drop-down menus here. And if I click on one, as I hover over each one of these, I see a drop-down menu. And in some cases, I see sub-menus. And in some cases, you can have sub-menus. And so all you got to do is just kind of hover over any one of these and you're going to see all these options. And when you see one that's grayed out, that just means that that feature is not available for whatever it is you are clicked on. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it has this drop-down menus and sub-menus, all these different options that are available to you. But also, and perhaps more importantly, what I love is that we have this quick access toolbar right here. And so all of these features here, these shortcuts, these little drop-down menus, all these different options that are available to us, every one of those shortcuts or features comes from somewhere within our drop-down menus. So whereas we might have a couple hundred different options that we can use in Google Slides by virtue of these drop-down menus, we have about 20 or so that are available right here. And depending on what you click on, sometimes these shortcut menus change. In this case, we're about to add a subtitle or whatever. And so now we have control over the fonts, the size, the font style, spacing, all kinds of different information there. And you'll see shortly when we click on a photo or picture, then we have a new shortcut menu that's there. And again, anything you see on our shortcut menus, even when it changes as we click around, it's always available up here in one of the drop-down menus. So that's kind of unique to all things Google in our Google apps. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're just going to call this practice. And so to name this, you just simply click there and you can type it in. Practice. Always a good idea to give something a name, because if you end up with a bunch of untitled things, then you won't know which one is which. And so in this case, I'll know that this is one we were just kind of looking at and seeing how it would work. All right. Now, before we go any further, I wanted to show you something else. So again, we started from our drive. Well, actually, I'm going to click away from that to set it. So see, it says saving, save to drive. It's already done. So one thing we need to remember when we're talking about all things Google is that everything we're doing resides up in the cloud, the World Wide Web. What is the cloud exactly? Well, we know we access it through our browser. In this case, it's our Google Chrome browser. But basically, every movement of the mouse, every click of the mouse, every stroke of the keyboard as we're working on something is interacting not with the hard drive, in this case on the laptop I'm working on, but it's actually interacting with the Google server farms. And at near the speed of light, the data of the clicks and the keyboard strokes is interacting through our browser, through our internet connection to the Google server farms, and it's making changes there. Wow. So when we do that, it takes a second or so, and it will say saving, and then it will say save. So for example, if I go over here and I want to add a little bit more to this, I'll say practice 1. And when I click away from it, it's going to set that, and watch how fast it saves it. Really? It's already saved. Okay. It happened so fast we didn't even see it. So that's pretty slick, and it's always being saved. So unlike the olden days when you're working on something from Microsoft on your computer and you spent 2 hours and by golly, you've solved world peace and world hunger all in one document, and you're just ready to like send it to someone and the power goes out. And if you haven't saved it, then you've just lost the most important document you've ever had. Well, all things Google, no worries, because it's being saved keystroke by keystroke, mouse movement by mouse movement. So that's pretty cool. All right. So again, here we are in our little kind of blank presentation. We're just kind of getting started. But I want you to notice something. We go back to our drive and look in our today's slide folders. That's where we went and we said, hey, let's make a new presentation. And I clicked on that. and it created that file, or in this case, the Google slide that we call practice one, right here in this folder. And so it's always a good idea when you're using anything Google is to have a place where you're working when you're adding stuff to it. So you can always go back and find it. So yours might say Google Slides folder. And so all of your slides might be in one place. And so that's a helpful way to do it. So there it is. And it opened up in a new tab. But I want you to notice something down here. We got this little thing called Slides Home. Well, what is that? Well, back about 10, 12 years ago, when we first started with the very first two Google apps, one was Google Docs and one was Google Sheets, the very first two that happened like in 2008 or 9, something like that. And so when it was first introduced, they had like their own like Google Docs, page where you could start a new one. It had some templates on it like that. It had all of the different ones that you've been working on kind of down here. In other words, it was kind of like your Drive where you could like store stuff and find things and all things to do with docs or sheets. And then at some point they said, hey, we're going to have more apps. So why don't we have like some kind of a desktop thing, some kind of a user interface where we could store stuff. And so they called that Drive. And from there, we have all this different stuff that's available to us. We can create our folders and everything and have all of our files there, and just a better way to organize things. So just like here, we have quick access. We have all the different files, listed down here that I've been working on. I also have all of these folders. Well, this is pretty slick, and I'm just going to double click on our today's slides folder, go back to it. Here's where our practice one was. And so you'll notice that in here, you don't have the ability to add folders. There's a little folders icon, but it's basically to go find something in your Drive. So these are all in, where are we? We're in the slides home. It's kind of like its own little Drive, but it's just for slides, if that makes sense. There's also one for docs. There's one for sheets. There's one for forms. But it's just basically a place where you have it all grouped together. And that's pretty cool. The most important thing about this is we have a template gallery available to us. And so what's a template? A template is simply just in this case, a slide that's already been made that you can then click on, and then you can add, whatever it is you want to it. So here's our template gallery. We see we have these little expand buttons here. Let's go ahead and click on that. Okay. So right now in our template gallery, it says general. What does that mean? That means these are the ones provided by Google. And so we have a couple from Google that they made, lesson plan, book report, having to do with education, field trip, flashcards. Okay, that's interesting. Science project, science fair. These are all slides that have been prepared by Google. Here's some personal, that's the personal category. General presentation, your big idea, a photo album, maybe from a trip you've taken. Or if think about it, if you're working at a school site and you're working in the front office and maybe you're the principal, or maybe the principal says to you, says, hey, let's create something that we can share that, documents what we just did. We just came back to school on April 12th. So let's get some pictures of our kiddos and put them all together in a slideshow. Well, you could get started with this album right here. In fact, why not? Let's just click on it and see what happens. It's working on it. It's working on it. All right. So there it is, photo album. And as you can see, there's all these slides that are already made. And each one of these is something that we can then go in and start changing. So let's just take a look at what it looks like so far. In fact, why not? Let's do it this way. We can just see all that it's got going on. So there's the very first slide, West Coast road trip. There's the name and the date. So maybe you change this to your school site, such and such elementary school, back to school on April 12th or something. And then you have the different pictures of the different kiddos, but we're in presentation mode. So I'm just going to click the mouse. There's the next page. It's got some generic writing here, some cool things. Here's the next one. And we can see it's all kind of laid out for you. Big old picture in the background, has a little text box down here with a description on it. And so obviously this is about a road trip, but all you'd have to do is to be able to just go in and change the pictures and change the words, and you've already got this pretty cool, layout thing going on here. And so that's enough of that. Let me hit escape there real quick. So how would you do that? Well, once you click on something, then you have all of those options available to you up here. in our quick access toolbar. Click on right here where the words are. And again, we have all of the ways to change the fonts, size, color, all of that. And so what is a template? It's just gotten started for you already, and you can go in there and you can change anything you want. If you see a particular uh, one that you don't like, you can always right click on it and delete it, get rid of that one, or add another one, however you want to. So that's just a real quick view of what that is. So let's go back real quick. So we found that right in here in our gallery of templates. And there's just a whole bunch of different ones that are available to you here. And so you can look through them and just know every one of these was made in Google Slides. All right. And so you can use those kind of as a head start. We'll see in a minute how I use this one, flashcards. I use that as an example, and we'll share that with you in just a few minutes. But look over here, we have another category, San Diego Unified School District. Oh, none available. Well, as is the case in all things Sandy.net Google domain that deals with our district, we have the generic versions or the versions from Google that are available to us as far as templates. And then in some cases, like if we're in Sheets or if we're in Docs, there are a number of templates that the school district has provided for us. The school district has not provided for us anything to do with the templates as far as slides, but maybe one day you'll come back here and it'll be there. And so there's the templates. Now, how do we get to that? Well, we were in our slides home. Again, it's a place where we can start a new one. We can go to our templates, or we can find all of the ones that you've been working on most recently. And these are all of them that belong to me. And these really awesome ones down here, well, that's Michaela Rankin, one of our superstars from the district that helps out all of our librarians. All right, so let's get back from here and go back to where we were on practice one. All right, just real quick. So this is interesting. It used to be when you opened up a template, it would end up in your drive. And I guess I could see and check and see if it's back there somewhere. Nope, I don't see it anywhere. Interesting. But it doesn't do that anymore. So why am I bringing that up? Well, that's because things change. So Google used to, every time you touch the template and just want to see what it was, pretty soon, if you looked at 5 templates, the last 5 slides, it'll show up with these templates. You're like, oh, well, where's that one I was actually working on? I don't want to see the templates. But for some reason, they don't even do that anymore. That's cool. All right, so here's our practice one that we opened up here in our drive. Let's go back to it. And so let's take a look at some of the features that we have here. So we'll just go ahead and start right over here at the beginning. So it says plus. If you hover over it, it says new slide. So if I click that, we create a new slide. All right, we have a drop-down menu. These are all the different options for a slide. And so at first when we see this, it can be really confusing. We're like, well, how do I know which one I want? I mean, where do I start? If we want to, we can just start off with a blank one. But let's go back to where we are. Let's go back to the first one. This makes sense. Click to add a title. Oh, okay. And then a subtitle. And then what's the next one? Add a title, but it's smaller. And then add some text here. And so it's trying to guess as to what you want if you just say a new one here. And we can certainly use it, this one. We just click here. And there's the title. So what are we going to call this? Well, how about just practice slides. That's the name of this little presentation here. And if I wanted to, I could click down here and just say, we are trying out, just say Google Slides today. All right, and then a couple of dots right there. All right, so there we've already gotten started. We already have our very first slide, and it was real easy because there was a title box up here and a subtitle one, and we did that, and that's pretty cool. So we're already learning that we can use slides that are already prepared for us to kind of, get started and get a jump on it. Or again, as we said, we could always use a blank one. Let's just go ahead and see where it started us at. If I want to make this bigger, can I? Well, let's take a look. How about I just select that? And sure enough, here we go. Up on our quick access toolbar, we've got all these different options that are available to us here. So if I want to make it bigger, I can just do the plus sign. You can see that it's growing. If I want to make it bold, I can do that. If we're not sure what these icons are, we just hover over it. Oh, there's italic, underline. Okay, text color. All right. How about, oh, I don't know, about this blue color. That's kind of cool. And we have all these different options here. And if we're typing out multiple, lines here, then maybe we want to do the line spacing where it's like single space, double space, do some custom spacing. Um, if we, have it here in the middle, maybe we want it to be over on the left-hand side. We can align it left, go that way, or over here and align it right, make it like that. We have other options too. We can make it in the middle, so instead of the bottom or the top. So that's pretty cool. I think I like it just like that. We'll put it right there in the middle. So just by clicking and kind of exploring around, you can see what all the different options are available to you. And not every option is going to make sense depending on what you're doing. Since we're just doing a title here, we're not really concerned about adding an indent or decreasing an indent or something like that. But there it is. And so here in our shortcut menu, we have all of these options that are keep changing depending on what we're clicking on. And of course, some that will always be there. Some of our favorite ones are undo and redo. If we don't like the last thing that we did, we can undo it. And so if you recall, we had taken it to the right. Before that, it was at the bottom, it was at the left. And I can keep undoing these to get it back to where it was when we started. Or we can also redo it and bring back those different changes that we made. That's pretty cool. Look at that, save to drive. It only took a couple seconds. So if I undo it, watch, saving, save to drive. What was that, maybe 1.5 seconds? And then I redo it. Boom, just that fast. So that's pretty cool. We never have to push save on anything that we're working on. So let's take a look at a couple of these other ones real quick. We have print. That's pretty obvious what that does. We have paint format. Oh, that's interesting. Well, what is paint format? Well, if we like the way this looks, it's blue and it's big and it's all that, and we want to copy that and transfer it to somewhere else, then all we have to do is just click on this. See, there's a little box around it now. And now I've got this little paint roller you can see. So if I come down here, I click on a word, it's going to make that word exactly the same size font, style, color, everything. So I actually don't want that to happen. So I'm going to hit undo. But that's a pretty healthy feature that you can use. So for example, if we're up here and I want to change the font to this, it's Arial by default. Let's find something pretty cool. How about impact? Sure, why not? Practice slides. Now it's a lot fatter and heavier and all that. It's the impact font. And so if I put my cursor here, I can go up and click on the paint format. I can come down and I can click on another one. You can see it's going to transfer all of it, the color, the size, and in this case, the font, which is important. So again, I don't want to do that, but that's something that we can do. That's a pretty cool feature. All right, so what's this? Zoom. Huh. All right, let's try it. 50%. Oh, okay, so it's the way we're looking at this. Let's go down here, 200%. Well, that's pretty cool. So maybe we're working on something and we've got a lot of detail in there and it's hard to click on something small. So we can simply zoom in and out and be able to deal with that. That's a pretty cool feature. Take it back to normal. All right, what's this? This is a select thing, just like what it sounds like, where you can draw across and create a square and then do something with it. But more importantly, look at this. We can add a text box. So we have a text box here and we have one down here. We don't have another text box down here. If we wanted to add one, let's see if it'll let us do it. Text box. So now you see my cursor's a plus sign. So let's see if I can add a text box. Sure enough. So now we have somewhere where we can put something. Just for fun, I'm going to do SDUSD. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? I'm going to click away. So here we have these different text boxes. And this was a slide that was given to us, just already set up like a title thing. And I just added a text box to it right down here. Let's see if I can shrink that up. So if you've used other apps, you recognize what all these different things are. These are manipulation points where you can make things bigger, change things around, manipulate in that different way. And if you're not sure what this is, just grab it. Oh, look at that. I can twist it around in circles. Even tells me the degrees. And I think 114.4 degrees. Yeah, that sounds great. Well, wait a minute, not so much. Undo, back to Ghost. So, just like all of the other apps, these things become familiar. In fact, all of these shortcuts up here that you see dealing with text are exactly like the ones you'll find in Google Sheets when you're typing things out in text, or Google Docs when you're actually doing a Word document, or I guess what we'll call it just a Word document for now, in Google Docs. And so you can make all kinds of changes using this shortcut menu that's up there. So let's take a look at another one. Since we've already kind of done this one, let's go down to here. And I'm going to click here and I want to add a new slide. And actually, I'll take that back. So for here, we're working on this one. I'll say, oh, I want a new blank one, put at the end of it. And I'll say, okay, let's start with a blank one. So you'll notice it showed up right here because I had been working on practice slides. And so here's that second one that we had earlier, and it bumped it down. Not to worry. Let's see if we can grab it and drag it down. Aha. So we're back to our original order. So just know that you can grab these things and change the order anytime you want just by left click and dragging them around. I want it to be in the best order possible. First, this is the title one. And there's that second one, and then there's our blank one. Again, if we look at all those different options, this is what we started off with, title slide, and then we did like a section header, and it started just throwing out these different ones that it's recommending to us. And of course, we just added that one. All right, so here we are down below, and let's take a look at this next one. We just did text. Maybe we'll do another one. So just for fun, I'm going to put horses. Let's see, horses. All right, so there it is in my little text box. All right, I'm going to make it bigger now. So let's make that, oh, I don't know, I'm going to make it kind of big. We'll make it bold. Let's change the font. How about lobster? Oh, that doesn't look too good. How about yellowtail? Interesting. So we have all of these recent ones that have been picked. But if you notice down here, we have all these other ones that are available to us. And so pretty much every font that you can find in like Microsoft Word or somewhere else, you'll find also in the Google apps, but they don't always have the same name. So Lobster, I've never heard of in Microsoft Word, but there might be one that looks similar in Microsoft, but because Microsoft's font in this case was proprietary, then Google kind of copies it, makes it a little bit different, maybe 10% different, and then calls it something different. So you just have to kind of poke through there. You'll notice a lot of these have these little subcategories. Extra light version of Nunito, whatever that is, Montserrat, Meriwether. They don't all have the same submenus, but they have different ones. And so you can kind of scroll through there and see what all the different ones look like. So let's see, for our purposes today, how about we do Pacifico? Sure, why not? And let's just make that a little bit bigger. And just for fun, how about we change the font color to red? All right. So again, all of these features are going to be familiar to you if you've used the other apps. Or stated differently, if this is your first time going into anything that's a Google app, then you get used to this and you become familiar with what these different features are by hovering over them and thinking about them and all of that. Then when you go to another app, it'll be much easier for you. So that's a pretty cool idea. So there it is. We got horses over there. And look at that. So we have these different options for how we're going to fit our text into this particular slide. And so it just becomes a matter of clicking on things and practicing and becoming familiar. And remember, no matter how expert you get at using slides, and let's say you know every single option, you've used them all 10 times each, and you know it perfectly. Go away for 2 months, come back, and you're going to find something on there that's new that wasn't there before. And again, just as a reminder, because Google is always adding new things. And this Explore feature is something we'll see in a little bit. It's one of those things they've had in the last couple of years, which is really awesome. We'll see how that works. So that's pretty cool. So here we have this one that says horses. And so maybe we want a picture that we want to insert. Well, here's our next option, insert image. Let's take a look. If I have it on my computer, my hard drive, I can get it from there. And why does it say upload? Because again, this practice one Google slide happens to be up in the cloud, Google server farms. All right. And so any picture that we're going to take off of our hard drive, we're going to upload it as opposed to download it. We're going to upload it into the cloud instead of taking it out of there. Or we can search the web. We can find some. Or maybe we have some in our drive. Maybe I've got a folder with a bunch of, horse videos or horse pictures. And so we can find them there. So be thinking about how this would apply to you. If you're at a school site, maybe you have your school name here, your Sunrise Elementary School. And so you have a whole bunch of pictures in your Google Drive somewhere in a folder, or maybe you have them in your Google Photos, or maybe you know the web address of some photos that someone else took that you want to use, or maybe you have a digital camera. So if I have some photographs that I actually printed out, just like we did in the olden days, I have them sitting here on my desktop. If I have a digital camera, I can use that feature and take a picture of it and then import it into our slide. That's pretty cool. Lots of options. Well, let's use this one just for now because searching the web is pretty easy. So I'm just going to type in horses. Why am I choosing horses? Well, my closest neighbors are horses and I like horses, so that's fun. And they're pretty harmless as far as offending anyone. So there we go. So what Google is really good at is searching for things and finding it. And with the Google Apps, what it's really good at is finding pictures that you can use most often without any copyright issues. So I'm just going to look down here to find one that looks pretty slick. Oh, this one's pretty cool. So if I left click on it, you'll see there's a check mark and then it says insert. Well, if you've been to my classes before, all things Google, all things Microsoft, I often will tell you there's a left click, right click, double left click, triple left click, and depending on which app you're in, different things happen. So I simply left clicked one time there to select this, and then I could say insert. It's going to show up somewhere over here, or watch this, just double click, double click. Give it a second. So there it is. It just put it there. So here's our picture of a horse. So again, we see these manipulation points that are around here. We can explore with that. We can shrink it down a little bit. We could stretch it out and make it really wide. Well, that doesn't quite look right. Undo. Boom. Saving. Save to drive. Okay. So if we want to make it bigger, we could do that. Uh-oh. We've lost our text box in the back. Wonder how we could do that. Well, we'll take a look at that in a second and see how we can move things around. How about this? So I said you could left click on things, you could right click on things. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. So we notice that here's the edge of our slide. We can see this ruler that's up here. It helps kind of keep us guided in. Here's the left extreme of the slide, the right extreme of the slide. Clearly this picture is not in the middle. And let's see if we left click and drag it. Oh, we can move it around. So I could move it over here. Look at that. I've actually moved it off of the slide. And there's the H of horses. Save to drive. But something really cool that Google does that I love. Watch this. As I start to drag it left, you're going to notice a red line that shows up here. So watch. Oh, there it is. Go back. Oh, go back. What's that red line for? Let go. That red line is telling you that you are exactly in the middle of your slide. That's pretty cool. So again, if I move it over here, I can see I only have this much space at the edge. I got a big one here, but as I start to move it left, that line will show up. And if I just do it very carefully and let go, then they have equidistance on both sides on the border here. That's pretty cool. So that's your horizontal alignment. Or maybe that's the vertical alignment rather. So let's try the other way. Can I go down? Oh, there's a red line that way too. So if I look at that, and might have to make this smaller. We don't have a lot of room here. Let's try this. So how about fit? 89%. That's pretty cool. Give it to us. Yeah, maybe a little bit smaller. So here's our picture. It's hanging off the bottom. Here's our slide. It's 89% view. And it just happens to be how I am zoomed in on my particular browser. And by the way, you can change the size of your browser anytime you want. I'm just going to click over here away from the picture real quick. How about right up here? I hold down my control key and I roll my mouse wheel one way. And you can see up here, I'm 80%. Now I'm 67%. But what are we looking at? Look at this, how tiny this is right here. So by clicking up here and rolling your mouse wheel the other way, I can get back to wherever I want and I can make it, even bigger. So now it's so zoomed in up here in my browser tab that I can't even see all of my different features that are available to me. So just know that you have the ability to change things back by just rolling your mouse wheel. Let's get back to 100%, right about there. So that's different by adjusting your browser window than what this is over here. So I can do 100% and zoom in, um, or in this case, I like this other one that says fit 89. That way I can see the border of the slide all the way around. That's pretty cool. So here's our picture. Now that we see the border, we can clearly see that this picture is hanging off the bottom. So then we can bring it, oh, it's already a line left and right. That's good. Let's bring it up. There's the other line. Nope, that line down there was showing us that it finally met the bottom of the page. Let's keep going up. Oh, there it is. So now we see the equidistant top and bottom, left and right. We change this again and make it different. Well, then we can start moving around until we see the lines and we can know that that's right in the middle. Is that helpful? Perhaps. Just another option that we have available to us. So that's pretty cool. But what about that thing that's behind there? Well, let's remember that we have left click, right click, and see what happens. If we're on a photo, we right click on it, we have some options that are here. Cut it, copy it, paste it, order. Well, that's interesting. So it's already out in front. It's on top of those words. What if we click on send it backward? Aha, there we go. Now this text box is in front, right? And since we're dealing with the text box and I clicked on it, let's right click and see what our options are. Order. Huh. Send backward. Now it's gone. It's stuck behind there. Uh-oh. We still see the text box, but it's behind there. Let's undo that and bring it back forward so we can deal with that. All right, so that's pretty cool. So now when I move this around, the horse thing is still going to stay there. And it's always going to be, the picture's always going to be behind, or stated differently, the text is going to be in the front. So let's get it back to where, there we go, kind of back in the middle. All right, let's look at some of the other options we have. So again, if we click on text, we have all of these different options dealing with text. If we click on the picture, then we have all of these options right here that are dealing with the picture. So let's take a look at our options here. Border color. Okay. Well, we've got kind of a bluish border. Maybe black would be the best for that one. All right. What's this one? Border weight. Well, let's make it something that's obvious. Okay. That's a 4-point border. That's pretty cool. What's this one? Well, if you want to, it doesn't have to be solid. You make it dots. That's a little bizarre. I think we'll undo that. But you have all of these different options here. And then, of course, you look over here, we can insert a link. We can add comments to this as far as making comments about this if we're sharing this with someone. How about this? Crop an image. That's interesting. Let's give that a try. So now we see that there's these little black lines around here. And so what that means is we can start to use this to crop it a little bit differently. Let's try that again. I grabbed the wrong one. Undo. No big deal. Let's try that again. Nope, still grabbing the wrong one. Sometimes they're hard to get to. Let's try it. Okay. It's being fussy. How about we'll just do it this way? Try this one. All right. So what we've done is we've just kind of gotten rid of some of the borders that's around there and just kind of zoomed in. We've cropped it differently. So we're just focusing on the horses. That's pretty cool. And so when we click away, you'll see that the rest of it's gone. Now, if we want to adjust it again and move it around, we can certainly do that. Let me put it over there so we can see their faces a little bit better. So that's the crop feature. That's pretty cool. Reset image. Oh, in case we didn't like what we did, gives us another option. Kind of take it back to where it was. So now we see it's a full size. We have all this room around it. So lots of things that are available to us. Replace image. Okay. So let's try this. Upload from search the web. Let's try that again. So we go back to horses this time. All right, and hit enter. And maybe this is the one we want. Double click. See what it does. Now this is pretty cool. So what it did was, in the exact same format with exactly the text right here in the front, it simply just changed the picture. That's pretty cool. It didn't used to do that. When you replace the image, all of a sudden the image would be way big and it'd be over here or whatever. This one just kind of just swapped it out. So they've gotten even better with that. That's wonderful. Fantastic. So what about that? I think I kind of like the other picture. So we'll just do undo, bring it back. All right. So let's look at the other one, format options. Wow. Look at all these different things available to us. So we're just talking about pictures right now. So we've got size and rotation. It's showing you right now how wide it is. On our slide, it's 4.64 inches, 3.1 inches high. If we want to make that different, we can adjust it. It's the same thing as grabbing these manipulation points and stretching them, but we can see it in numbers right here. Or check this out. If let's do it this way. So if I want to make the width, let's make it 4.64. You can see that the horses are getting just chubbier and chubbier as we go. And it's certainly not the original aspect ratio. So I'm just going to go undo. Oh, come on, undo all of them. Are you kidding? It's going to make me go back that way. That's no fun. So I think it was 4.94. Redo. All right. My point was this, is that if you lock the aspect ratio, then if you try to increase the width, it should be increasing the height as well. Okay, so it's going to keep it the same. That's pretty cool. It's a wonderful feature that we have here. Angle, 0, 90 degrees, flip, whatever. The same as grabbing this over here and just moving it around. Now we can see that the angle's written there. So all this is just information about what we're doing over here. So let's undo a couple of those. It's going to do each one individually. That's interesting. 4 point. Let's go to 4.94. Okay, that looks like where we started. All right, but that's just size and rotation. Now we have position. Okay, it's 2.55 degrees, or I'm sorry, 2.55 inches in the X coordinate and 1.17 in the Y. It just has to do with where it is on the page. So again, if we use our little magic red lines there, we can line up exactly where it needs to be. So that's position. We can use that. How about recolor? What's that? Well, there's no recolor. It looks the same. Well, what are our options? Wow. Are you kidding me? We can put all these different ones on there. Let's try this one. Okay, that looks really terrible. So that's dark 8. I can either go back here and say no recolor, or if I choose one and I don't like it, I can always do my undo. There we go. So we have all these different options that are available to us. Let's get out of there. Let's see what kind of adjustments we can make. Transparency. Yeah, you can make this like so you can see through, so that if you have like the word horses behind it, you know, it will kind of show up. And it's just something you can practice with and play. And if you don't like what you've done, you can just put reset. Let's get rid of that real quick. Drop shadow. If you want to do a drop shadow and different color shadows, transparencies, all these things that you can play with in practice, which we don't actually have time to do. Reflection, being able to see it like underneath, kind of like if you're looking at a sky and you have a lake and you can see the reflection of it. So all of these different things that you can do. I'm going to say no shadow and no reflection and make that go away. So all that's just from our format options. That's pretty cool. So there's our slide there. Let's go back up to our first one here. We had this one here that says SDUSD. Here's where, let's get rid of our format options. Here's where Google really shines when it comes to options and all of that. So let's just double click on this to select all of it. And let's go take a look at our link thing here. So if I click the link, it's going to give me this little link box. Let's see if I can move it. Nope, it's not going to let me move it. Let's try that again. Trying to make it bigger so it's easier for us to see. Didn't quite work. Let's go back and start over. So there's the text, SDUSD. Do we have a link that we want to put in there? Where are we trying to go with this? Look what it offered to us. Oh, is this what you mean, Mr. J? Wow, look at that. That's exactly what I mean. So I don't even have to put in the San Diego Unified.org up here. Of course, it wouldn't be that hard to type, but it's right there. I can just double click on it and I can say apply. So what have we done? Here in our slide, if this is a slide that we're going to see this in a few minutes with Michaela Rankin's slides that she does and provides for not only all the different librarians for countless middle and elementary schools, but also their students get to use it. And so if we want to link on something, we can put it right there in our slide so that when someone's looking at the slide, they can click on that link and we'll take them to it. Well, how does it work? Let's just try it. There it is. Click. We're on our browser. So look, it's opening up a new browser page. Here's where we were. That's the link we clicked on. It's still trying to do it. Takes a couple of seconds. Took us exactly to the San Diego Unified.org website, or otherwise our school district's main webpage, which looks different than it did last week. Good job. So that's how easy that could be. Mr. J, can we still change that? Can we make that, bold and do all that? You bet. It's text. You can make it bigger. You can make it bold. You can change the color from blue to, I don't know, let's pick one. How about yellow? That may not work. It's kind of hard to see. Will the link still work? You bet. Click on it. Opens up in a new tab right there. So that's just another feature that we have so many different options to. All right. So let's go back to here real quick. I had written this one out and I did horses and I did that. And well, I'll be quite honest, that doesn't look that great. Mr. J, come on, you can do better. Well, I could add a border around it. I could make the picture bigger. I could put a background color. I could do all that stuff. Well, let's take a look at something. Did you know that we can, see if we can find it. Where is our, let's start back at the beginning. So again, becoming familiar with this by just looking at all the different options that are here. In one of these, it's going to give us the option to do the explore. Or if we look down here, it's already got it here for us waiting. All right. I'm just going to click away from that to get rid of the menu. And I click explore. Let's see what it does. Huh. What the heck? So let's take a look at this. Layouts, auto created from what's on your slide. That's right. There's our picture for horses, and it says horses. So let's take a look at this one. Oh, wow. Kept the same picture, kept the same word, but it simply changed the font and the layout. How about this one? That's kind of cool. How many are there? Let's go through them. So depending on what the picture is and what the word is, these options will change. And it becomes really quite drastic, all of the different options, all just from this thing called Explore. Isn't that interesting? So let's go ahead and pick that one. That one kind of looks cool. Let's go back up here to this one here. We just started out with this one, and so it's giving us this layout saying, hey, maybe you want to separate it like this so it looks a little bit more, I don't know, impactful, something like that. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and undo that real quick. Get rid of Explore. We do have other options. So here's one. It says change theme. So here's where we started, just a basic. All right. But we can click on this theme and now it makes it darker. But not only does it do this slide, look, every one of our slides is now a little bit darker. But this one's compounded. This one is also, we use the Explore feature to make it look like this, but we've also used the theme to make that one look different as well. So these are just different tools that are available to you, almost like a template, if you will, but it's just the styling of it. And so didn't change that one at all. We changed these other ones. And so on this particular one, it's changing, it's changing the ones that are from our drop-down menu here, because our horse one was this custom layout. It kind of bypassed it. But that's interesting. So all of these different options are available to us. And this one, it actually gave us some brown in the background. Let's see what some of our options are here. You could make something like kind of playful, like cartoon-like, if that's what we're interested in. Something a little bit more serious. So we have all of these different ways to quickly change something and make it look drastically different. And so if you spend a little time with this for the very first time, looking through the different themes, and you spend a little time with the Explore button, see what the different options are, you might say, hey, I just saw that in the presentation someone gave. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know how they did that. Well, now you know that's just simply a theme. That's pretty slick. So let's go back to, well, let's try that one. That's kind of fun. So does the link still work on it? You bet. It still works. Same words that are written out there that we did before. And depending on which one of these themes, you're going to see, different effects in the background. So they all look just a little bit different depending on which one you click on. So you can spend some time practicing with that and just seeing what's going to look best. All right, real quick, what I'd like to do is show you a couple of our practice ones here that we've done. So let's go to this one here. So here's one that I've used in a number of classes, and I have all these different pictures. So again, imagine if you're in a department and you're trying to create a slideshow presentation for those that work in your department, or perhaps your department's producing stuff for, say you're working in the benefits um, portion of our school district or something, and you want like some kind of a slideshow that people can look at to get familiar with how their benefits package works, or how they can make changes to their benefits or their health care or whatever it is, and you can create a slideshow for that. But for this one, we're just using horses for fun. All right, so let's just take a quick look at this. There's the first one, the second one. These are just practices with different horse pictures and all that. That one looks pretty cool. Horses of China, word art, wild horses. This one's got a cool frame around it. Well, guess what? This was made by using layouts, and there's the one that was used. So let's look at this one. Check that out. Just by typing in horses of China, horses of the steppe, and then, looking for a picture or whatever, it puts it in all of these different ways that you can look at it. So there's one like that, one like this. And again, all I had to have was a picture and some words, and it's automatically picking up all of these really cool different layouts that are there. So that's pretty slick stuff. And again, it's all in the Explore. Doing that so quick, and now I'm trying to remember which one I just started with. Maybe it was that one. No, I don't think it was. Oh, well. Oh, that one probably. I don't know. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. But we can change it, and if we want to, we could start exploring with different ones and see what it looks like. So again, here's one that's been changed already, and we can kind of just toggle between them, decide which one is the one that looks the best. So that's a pretty cool feature that's available to you, where it's got these automatic templates, if you will. You see that one's kind of black and white. So it's just a matter of exploring, looking around until you find the one that you like. So that's pretty slick. All right, let's take a look real quick at one of Michaela Rankin's ones. So again, this is Michaela Rankin, one of our superstars from the district, and she works with, I don't know how many different schools, but I think the last time she told me it was like 8,000 students represented. So maybe 10 different elementary schools, whatever that is, maybe 15, something like that. And so she would create these things that the librarians could use for the students, the kiddos that go in there to the library to do stuff. So here's the Thanksgiving one. We have this first slide that's here. And let's just take a look at this real quick. So we've kind of explored about, all these different features that we're using here. Let's just go to present mode and see what it looks like. All right. So a student would look at this and they would see, okay, Miss Rankin's Thanksgiving Library. Looks like we have a video over here, Brain Pop Jr. And you'll notice that my cursor, when I move it around, I've got my little hand, the finger, because these are links. I can click on any of these. So if I want to watch this video here, that's one's been embedded. This takes you to another page. This takes you to another page. This one will take you to the next page. And then you have all of these different links here. Let's just kind of go through it real quick. There's another one. There's a video, another video all about turkeys. Okay, another video, another video. Look at that. Just kind of go through it. So all these different places that these kiddos can go to, and she simply added all of those things. This is kind of cool. It's kind of like a little word search thing in here. You can try and find those words. Crossword puzzle. And so how many different videos and links can you put on a single page? As many as you can fit. And so you remember when we added a picture and we said, okay, let's make a border, 4 points, and make it black. Well, she has selected this kind of gold color, and maybe that's 3 or 4 points, something like that. But she's put in these pictures, or in some cases videos that are in there. And if we click on any of these, it should take us to one. Let's try it, see what happens. So now we were right here in our browser, and it's now kicked open another tab, and there's a video. Where's that video? On something called quiettube7.com or whatever. And if I click that, then the video is going to start playing. All right. Or I can click it on YouTube to do it. So how did I get to there? It was just simply these links that were in here. So let's see if we can get to the very end. Here's some more links about the history of it. And there's no more clicks to go any further. So look, here's a little home tab. All it is a little icon she put in. The link is taking her back to the first page. That's pretty cool.
That is, I like that.
Isn't that fantastic? So there we go. We've got all these different options of how we can do this. And I love that she has these navigation things in here where you can go back and forth and pick different things. Let me hit escape and get out of there real quick. And so let's kind of pick this apart how she did it. So let's see here real quick.
Yeah, I work.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had a question. Unmute yourself.
Oh, I just said, I'm a special ed technician and I work in a moderate to severe classroom. So this has given me a lot of ideas. I couldn't get into a para PD, so I thought I'd take this one. And I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
Perfect. So the first thing I'll tell you is that anytime you're trying to learn a new app, just start practicing. Just what we did. Go into your drive, create a folder, it just says, slide practice or something. And then when you're in there, start opening up ones and then just start playing with it and practicing and see what you could do. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So let me get that screen here. So here we are. We're in the nuts and bolts section where we can start to build stuff. So we can see how these things were made. So if I click here on Ms. Rankin's first page, we'll see that not only is this a video in this picture here, but she linked it to where a web address where it's going to play the video. Pretty cool. All right. And then we'll notice up here, border color. Yep. That's the gold color that she selected, right? And well, what's the size? I don't know. We could change it. Let's make it 8. Aha. Since I made a copy of this, is why it says copy. And I left her name up there because I didn't want anyone to think I made this. I have a copy of it, and since I do, then I can start to change things. And so I simply change the border width right there just to show you that that's how we do it. I'm going to undo it to bring it back to its original glory. About this right here. Well, look at that. We've linked this to slide number 2. And so you can do that. You can actually, anywhere on any slide, you can link things to go back and forth. That's pretty cool. Let's go to the next one down here. Remember this little home icon here? We've seen that before. So somewhere, Ms. Rankin found this little image and she's using it in her slides so that the kids become familiar with it. And it's kind of tiny to see, but every one of these slides, she's got this little home button in the corner. And what is it? It's just a link back to the very first slide. So that's pretty cool. You can do that. Then of course the link to the next one, and then some more videos and all of that. So again, if we pick it apart right here, here's another link. Where's that taking you to? That's just taking you to the crossword puzzle, wherever that is. All right. So that's kind of how she's done this. She's got pictures in the background that she's put on a page. And so it's just a matter of practicing with the different features that are there to see how things are done. And by the way, she is absolutely a superstar. She does like one of these like every week or two. And so there's ones on the election, there's ones about school, there's ones about, different holidays, Easter or whatever, different things. And she's got all the different links and books and things like that. And what a wonderful feature to be able to have that. All right, let's take a look at this. So just for fun, we're going to talk about sharing. All right. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm going to do this a little bit different. This should be fun. So here we have a copy of Miss Rankin's Thanksgiving Library. And if you'd like to be able to explore with this and see how this works, I'm just going to show you how you can do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make another copy of this, and I'm just going to call it, let's see, where's my copy button? Make a copy, entire presentation. All right. So there it is. And I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it practice, that I know it's different than the one that I have. Practice with Miss Rankin's Thanksgiving Library. Okay, so I'm going to say okay and watch what happens. Here's where we just were. This is my copy because I called it copy Miss Rankin's Thanksgiving Library. And now I'm going to create one called Practice with Miss Rankin's Thanksgiving Library. Now I'm going to go over here to share. And here's me. So I'm the owner of it because I had this copy. So let's do this. I would like one of you that are brave. Oh, let me try that again. Perhaps Miss Pena that was just talking. If you could just give
Yeah.
me your email address real quick, I'm going to type it in and show you how this works. What's your
P
E?
P ENA at
Right
Sandy
here
Dunn.
at sandy.net?
Yeah, right there. There I am.
Okay.
Patricia Pena.
So who else would like to be added to this? Anybody?
Me.
All right, go ahead and give me your email address real quick.
Oh, it's K T S. There, that's me.
Is that you?
Yep.
Perfect. So as I'm typing it in, because we're part of sandy.net, it's going, hey, is this who you mean? I didn't have to put it all in. That's perfect. We're going to leave it at that for right now because this is just an example. I can make each of you editors. I can make you just a viewer or somebody who looks at it and makes comments like, oh, hey, slide number 14, there's a mistake there, Mr. J, in your slide. Actually, this is Ms. Rankin, so I'm sure there are no mistakes, but you can choose how you're going to share this with people. So in this case, we're just sharing this with both of you right now. And if I wanted to, I could type out a message here saying, hey, here's something you can practice with or whatever. And I say send. And then because it's associated with your email addresses, you're going to get an email and it's going to say, hey, here it is. You can practice with this. So I'm just going to say for fun, here you go. So now please remember as you're looking at this and playing with it, this is something that you don't want to like start putting on some web page somewhere, whether it's with the district or not. This is just something for you to practice with.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say
Thank you.
send and boom. So you should receive an email with it. Now, when you have it and you make changes to it, then you're actually going to be changing what I see here on my page. And so you can be adding stuff to it. So what I'd like you to do is when you get it, make a copy of it, just like I did. So when you open it up, because you're an editor, so you'll get to open it up just like this in editing mode. Just go to File and go down and make a copy. Where there it is, make a copy of the entire presentation, and then edit that copy one and kind of play with that one, because otherwise we'll be editing this version here. We don't want to do that. Let's go back to that share thing. What other options do we have? Sure, I can put in, different individual people. So here we already see that we've had 2 people added. But look at this, restricted to only people added that can open with this link. Okay, so if I send you a link, it's just these 2 people. Well, watch, change link to San Diego Unified. Anyone in this group, that means anybody with a sandy.net, if they have the link, they can view it. Heaven forbid, let's see what the other options are. Oh my gosh, I can make everybody an editor. Then all 10,000 employees could be changing this at once and we'll never see what it looks like again back in its original form. But we can certainly share it with everyone. And that's what Ms. Rankin's doing with the other librarians. And then the students can look at it, click on it, interact with it, watch the videos as viewers. So you have the options of just, I've just shared it with these 2 individuals and they are now editors and can, make copies of it and do all that stuff. But now anybody in the district with a sandy.net email address can view it. Well, wait, there's more. You can also, anyone on the internet, the browser link, can also be a viewer. Okay, so those are the options that are available to us. And all I have to do is, click that. And if I choose this one here, then I can go and I can, copy the link or whatever, or I can just copy it right here. I can send that out on, maybe my department. I want everybody in my department to be able to use it. So I send out a blast to the department with a link. They click on it, boom, there they are, because they're part of San Diego Unified. Or if I'm sending it out somewhere else, I can send it to the whole wide world. But the only individuals that are editors is myself, Catherine, and Patricia, because that's the way I chose it. So that's all done with share. All right.
Okay,
I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. And now you'll see that it's got this little icon change. Anyone in this group can basically view it because that's what I set it up to. But only those that, Patricia and Catherine, was it? Sorry, my memory's not so hot. Are the ones that can
Yes.
do the editing. So again, that's pretty slick stuff that we can, be able to work together and on different things and add pages to it and all of that. In fact, let's take a look at another one. Okay, so here was a test one that I did. This might look familiar to you. Let me scroll back up here to the top. So this is one you've seen before, but it's called something different and different pages. Oh, there's that one. Now I don't remember what it looked like at the beginning. It looked like that. And I had these different ones. And then what I did was I went here and I shared it. And in this case, I shared it with a number of individuals for that particular class that was there. And I invited them. In fact, Miss Rankin was part of that class. And she went in and she added this slide. And then someone else added this slide with links to these different books. That's pretty cool. And someone else was clever and went and got this image off the internet, which I love, and then typed in, escape with a good book and created that slide. How slick is that? And so this was all done by different people. Oh, and there's poor Mr. J's entry, just terrible example. So we have some superstars in our district that are really good at making some things. And in this example of this particular one, I just simply made a copy of it, called it that, and then shared it with those individuals. And then those individuals were all made editors. And so in real time, at the same time, Ms. Rankin's working on one slide, someone else is working on another one, I'm working on another one, and we can start adding to this presentation that was already there and start adding these other different ones that they put on there. So that's pretty darn cool that we could do that. All right. Let's see here real quick. So here's one that I got from a template that I wanted to share with you before. Let's go back up here. And so all I did was said, okay, flashcards, no problem. So let's take a look and see what this looks like real quick. Go here to present. And so this obviously is something you would use in, a classroom or whatever, and maybe that's not what we're doing, but it could easily be information that we're sending out to parents or perhaps students or something to be able to learn something. And so again, from this template, it was already there. So you just click on it. So every time I click, it goes to another slide. In fact, let's just go back and look at it real quick. So here's the first one. The next one's got a dog on it. This one's got a chair, a pineapple, and a few more that go on down the line, right? So go back to here, go to present. Loading, come on. Maybe I need a drink of water. All right. There we go. So here's our Spanish flashcards. And so it's showing us, there's a little dog, el perro, and go to the next one, a silla. And so it's showing us how this works. And the next one is like, oh, la piña. Okay, yeah, that was right. El coche, and we can kind of go through it in bicicleta and we can figure it out. And so each one of these slides that we're looking at was part of a template. And all I did was change the lettering. And you'll notice I even did it with these cool little drop-down shadows because you can do that. And so it's pretty cool, Lancha de Remos. And, I'm sorry, Barco. There's a lancha. Sorry, I was rusty on my Spanish. And so you can just kind of create this and start adding things to it all from a template. So that's pretty cool. So don't forget your templates. That's important because it'll give you like a head start on that. There was, let's see. Okay, that's the one I just made. I'm trying to find that one there. Yeah, there was one more I was going to show you. Let's go up and actually, yeah, I think we'll start with here. Okay, so let's go to present and let's look at the transitions that we have. So here's the slide. And if someone's looking at it or giving this slide, maybe it's up on a screen or something. You can set it up to where when you click, something happens, goes to the next one. So that's like a slide in from the left to the right. And you click and it goes to the next one. It kind of flips around like that. And then you can click and then it does something else, goes to the next slide and then click, kind of slides in that way. So we have this one set up to whenever I want to click it. Obviously I haven't clicked it yet because nothing's changed. So if I'm talking about this, we're doing a presentation, you can keep, discussing what's going on. And then when you're ready to go to the next slide, you click it. Or maybe you're producing something that you want the kiddos to watch and you want them to see each slide for 10 seconds or something. You can set it up all those different ways. So I click this one again and it kind of dissolves out or fades out. The new one comes in, click it again, it kind of fades out to the next one, click it again, and that's the end. So again, we see this border that's around here, and we saw some of those cool slides, and we hit escape to get out of there. And all of those were created using our Explore feature. Just kind of figures out a different way to do it. So I really like that. And I love the way that it comes up with all these different ways to do that. But let's talk about transitions. Let's go back up to the beginning. So here's our first one. Let's get rid of Explore, make some room for us. And here's the one we haven't touched on yet, transition. All right, so you remember this first one, we had it set up to slide from right. Let's see what our options are. Slide from right, and here's all the other options. So slide from right is the one that's selected. Maybe we want it to come from the left. Maybe we want to flip, be a cube, part of a gallery. Nothing at all. But that's the one that we had set up. And you'll notice that you have a speed choice. So I can make it happen really fast. Now let's try it. Okay, that didn't quite give us the example we wanted. Or let's try it really, click stop. Then we can try it really slow. Let's see what happens. Wow, that is really slow. The fast one was so fast we couldn't even see what it did. It just sort of showed up. I thought I had it on the wrong setting. So just know that we can, gotta click stop again. We can adjust this in any way. And so when you're learning how these things work, stay away from super fast and super slow and just be somewhere in the middle so that when you try it out, you can see how it works. Okay, that's almost too slow, but that's okay. Click stop, a little bit faster. And so what's neat is as you're setting this up, you don't have to keep going up to present to say, okay, I want to see what that looks like. You can just do this little play mode. But once you do the play mode and it shows you how fast it is between medium and fast right there, you'll notice that I can't click on anything. Clicking away or, oh, it's allowing me to do some clicking, but it's not allowing me to change anything until I do stop. So that's the first thing. All right. So the other thing is, do you want to apply it to all slides? I'm not going to select that because I want each one to be different. So this one is slide from right. I've got my little transition pane open here. Let's go to the next one. Now this one, slide from left. Again, that's where it is right now. I can make it go much faster and we can practice. Okay, that's pretty cool. Or I click stop and say much slower, and then I can do play. Whoa. So you can see how it's really amazing the changes that are there. So I click stop, go over here, put it back where it was, something like that. All right, I don't have to try it out. I can just leave it like that. I just reset it, so that's good. And go to the next one and say, oh, this one's a flip. And remember, you have all these different options here. Happens to be flip on that one. And let's go here, and this one's a cube. What the heck is a cube? Well, if you're not sure, just click play. There's a cube. And so it's kind of like you have a different slide on each side of a cube or something. That's pretty cool. Let's click stop there real quick. So again, we can always apply this to any slide, or we can just do this slide by slide, such that when we're ready to, we can start at the beginning, go up here to present. And each time we click it, slide to the right. There's like a flip. There's a cube. There's I'm not sure what that was called, but we have all these different options. And so just know that you might come back in a few months, there might be 10 more options available to you, because that's just how Google is. They're always adding things to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape right there. And I'm looking at our time that we have right now. And so what I would like to say is that when you're working with something that's new to you, remember to use your drive. So in your drive, become familiar with the different features that are available to you. You can add, different folders to it and kind of keep things organized. If you come to our slides or I'm sorry, our Google Drive class. We have Drive Basics and Beginners Google Drive. Then we'll teach you that, once you've created the new folder, in this case, today's slide folder, you can always right click on it.
Mhm.
Remember that. And then I can simply just go up here and say, let's make this one red. So it stands out a little bit better. And then
Mhm.
when you're practicing with something, what you're going to want to do is always have a place where you can keep everything together. And in this case, we have our practice one, and that way you have it easily accessible. Of course, we have this one already open. And if we want to work on transitions on this one, for example, we just click on that, changes it from themes to motion, and then we can just pick which ones we're going to do. We can apply it to all slides and make them all dissolve or all do cube or all go from right to left. And we can change them, the speed and all that, to whichever one we want. And that's pretty cool. So we can do that. And I think at that point, we're going to say thank you so much for being here today. And we're going to be ending this presentation here in just a moment. And then we're going to open it up for questions and answers. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. We appreciate it very much. And we hope to see you in one of our next trainings coming up soon. Thank you.
Thank you.